Hey, there's this awesome presentation by David Wastel about global warming. It's the best ever. You should really watch it. If you ever worried or wondered what positions were right, his presentation is the most prominent around. Basically, it's been given to hundreds of decision makers, parliaments, members of the Telberg Forum, and it's really an excellent presentation. So it's called Planet Earth, We Have a Problem. You find it in our YouTube channel. And see, he shows that temperature rise comes from a whole bunch of things. CO2 is just one of them, but it's a major one. As you see here, since the Industrial Revolution, CO2 exhaust by burning fossil fuels has grown enormously, and it's a warm gas, so it warms up the atmosphere. Some of it gets back down, caught by forests and the ocean, but the ocean is currently full. It can't take any more CO2. It leads to ocean acidification, and because it is an acid, and it leads to the dying of coral reefs. And as it looks today, in the next 10 or 20 years, all the coral reefs will vanish, which isn't good because it's the baby and hatching chambers of fish populations. And the forests are being depleted on the planet at record speed, and plantations of little trees simply cannot make up for this. This should be clear, because every huge tree in the Amazon is as big as 100 trees that you plant somewhere else. It just doesn't make any sense, all the accounting that they're doing today. So what's happening is that we're in the sixth major extinction event in the known history of the planet, and it's caused by human beings, and we don't even talk about global warming here. It's about the extinction of 150 species per day. That's been happening for many years now. 150 per day times 400 days approximately per year. Do your own math, it's a lot, and do it over 50 years, and the species are interconnected. It's getting worse and worse. This trend has been happening since the 70s, and there has been no slowing down, but the destruction, the deforestation, the destruction of life systems and ecosystems is still accelerating. Okay, politics are not even looking at it anymore. It's just ridiculous, and the little things they do are just a bad joke. So, and so, for example, the climate negotiations, here you have this curve of mounting climate emissions, and the thing is, when the CO2 is emitted from factories, it takes 10 to 20 years to go up in the atmosphere, where it starts influencing the global warming. So the problems we have today are emissions done 10 to 20 years ago. So, and all those climate negotiations are about stabilizing emissions at 1990 levels. And you get it? If the emissions to 1990 are already responsible for a rise of 2 degrees, then if we keep emitting, it will not stay, but it will keep raising the temperature. It's so simple, and it's so ridiculous what they're trying to sell everybody through these climate negotiations things. So, but what's actually needed is, of course, not a stabilizing of the CO2 emissions, and they're rising big time in Europe and in China and in all those emerging economies who are also cool because everybody now wants to have their iPod. And Europe is just shifting production to China, so Europe supposedly has less CO2 emissions, but it hasn't. Okay, so what you would need is to decrease emission big time, even then to a negative going under this line, so to cool down the atmosphere and to catch all the carbon that's in the atmosphere. So we need a carbon negative economy. And people are not even talking about the carbon neutral economy, but they're still in a carbon production economy. And so all the talk they're doing is just fig leaves. It's misleading. It has nothing to do with the solution. And so check out this presentation by David Wastel, and just give up on putting any trust, hope, and effort in the current models and the current decision makers. Grow up as a new generation with a new worldview, different action and ethics and priorities, so you will be really different. This stuff